We're going to also hear from Fulton County Chairman Rob Pitts, who many of you know, Fulton County Election Board Chair Sherry Allen, Fulton County Director of Registration and Elections Nadine Williams, and Fulton County Police Chief Wade Yates. You will also, we are also joined today by Fulton County's Manager Dick Anderson. I'm going to turn it over to Regina, and then we'll hear from Chairman Pitts.
Good morning again, and thank you so much. It's a pleasure to see everyone and a pleasure to be able to work with you all. I am going to keep it very short because you all want to hear from these great people behind me. Just keep in mind, as we get started tomorrow morning, I will be at 8 a.m., so you can't call me too early if you need anything. If you need some information regarding the polling locations, there's information in the packet, or just go ahead and give me a call. If you have any issues at the polling locations, call me, put the poll manager phone, and we will work things out. We'll make sure that you get what you need, and then we'll get you guys down here. Those of you who are wanting to come down tomorrow evening, we'll make sure that you have what you need. So now I would like to bring to the podium our chairman of the Fulton County Commission, Mr. Rob Pitts.
All right, good morning, everyone, and welcome. Delighted to see each and every one of you. Let me begin by saying very directly, Fulton County is ready for this election in 2024. I had a front row seat in 2020. Things went well for us then, but we were criticized widely. However, after several and many reviews, investigations, everyone concluded that our elections were open, fair, and transparent. And I am confident that we are going to run the best election in the United States of America tomorrow morning. In fact, almost 55% of the eligible registered voters in Georgia have already voted. And that's a good thing, which means that at 8 p.m. tomorrow, based upon the new law that was passed by our state legislature, we will know and have some indication of what is going on with respect to how the election is going to turn out. Early voting here was a tremendous success. And based upon that is why I say that tomorrow is going to be even more successful. We made a few changes and have made changes since 2020. The biggest change is right where we are right now. This election hub, I think, is the finest in the United States of America. We, Fulton County, spent some $30 million on this facility. Prior to this facility, we were spread out all over the county. Equipment here, equipment there, personnel here, personnel there. But as a result of that expenditure, we're all under one roof, which is going to make it a lot easier for all of us. We have 177 polling places or precincts that will be open tomorrow. I will be voting at 7 o'clock, as I always do, at my precinct, and from there, visiting some 50 of the 177. We also have approximately 1,800 poll workers. That's 1,800 poll workers. So we're staffed, they're trained, and we're ready to go. So the bottom line is Fulton County is ready to go for a very successful election, simply encouraging people to come out and cast their vote for the candidates of their choice. Thank you. Now I'd like to introduce the Chair of our Board of Registrations and Elections, Attorney Sherry Allen.
Thank you, Chairman. I would just like to say welcome, welcome, welcome to Fulton County, and I think what you will see tomorrow is one of the best and well-run elections that you have seen. It will be secure, it will be accurate, it will be transparent. I think that the residents of Fulton County will be proud how we have helped to restore and showing how that Fulton County will be Fulton strong tomorrow during that election. The director and the department is ready. The poll workers are well trained. They are ready. The poll managers are well trained. And as the chairman said, by 8 o'clock, we should know who has won, whoever the residents have voted for. My job is not to be partisan. I'm here to represent all the residents of Fulton County, and we want to make sure that all the residents of Fulton County's voices are heard tomorrow. Thank you.
Next, our Director of Registration and Elections, Nadine Williams.
Hello. Thank you again for coming today. We are ready, as everybody said. I won't go back over the stats of all the voters that have come out for advanced voting. Tomorrow, even though a lot of people have voted in advanced voting, we still expect a high voter turnout. Our poll workers are ready. Our 177 locations should be able to accommodate that with little or no wait time. And I would honestly take any questions at this time.
Nope, not so fast. We're going to hear very quickly from Fulton County Police Chief Wade Yates, and then we'll take a few questions.
Good morning, everybody. The chairman mentioned that there were a lot of new things in 2024. I'm going to mention something that hasn't changed from 2020, and that's that we're providing a police officer at all 177 polling locations, and we are working with the city police departments where those polling locations are to use their officers to have them present the entire time at all 177 locations. Thank you.
All right, one more before we get to questions and answers. Our County Manager, Dick Anderson.
Thank you and good morning. I just wanted to say, like everyone else has said, not only are we ready, we've spent an enormous amount of time in preparation, and this is a whole of government response. So it's not just the Board of Registration and Election or that department, it's all departments. We meet on a weekly and bi-weekly basis and have been since 2020 in preparation for every election. Obviously, this is the penultimate test of all of that planning, and I think you're going to see an extremely well-run election and a great voter experience.
Thank you, Chairman Pitts, for being our MC today. At this time, we can take a few questions, and I will just ask our team to please help me. Yes, Patrick.
So, with this being a new elections hub, and there's 177 locations, have you all practiced how you plan to get hard drives here, and how they start to be tabulated? Is there any concern about this just being a new facility and a new production?
So the question was, with this being a new election hub, have we practiced the process of getting memory cards from the polling places here? Have we practiced that? And thank you. Sorry. The question was, with this being a new election hub, have we had an opportunity to practice bringing memory cards in from the polling places and going through that tabulation process? The answer is yes, and I'll ask Ms. Williams to elaborate.
Yes, so we are prepared. We actually are doing the same memory card transfer that we did for the March and May elections. Thankfully, the police are assisting us in transporting the memory cards from our 7 check-in locations. One of them is here at the elections hub, but the memory cards will be transported via police escort, so we believe they'll be reported timely.
I'm going to take your question, but really quickly before I get to your question, on the back of the packet that we've provided to journalists, there is kind of a flow chart that explains how the process works on election night. Go ahead.
Thank you. Can you just tell me what your response is to the lawsuit that was filed over the weekend from the Trump campaign, RNC, and Georgia GOP with respect to absentee ballots? I know it was settled by Georgia judge.
Sure.
How concerned are you about future challenges?
So the question was, do we have a response to litigation that was filed over the weekend? I'd like to give some context to that question, and then I'm going to turn it over to Ms. Allen to respond. Fulton County, like a number of other Georgia counties, expanded hours this weekend to receive absentee ballots in person. This is a process that is available to voters from the time they receive their absentee ballots up through Election Day at 7 p.m. 7 p.m. on Election Day is the final deadline to return absentee ballots. There was litigation filed in opposition to this that, to my knowledge, was only filed against Fulton County. And I'm going to turn it over to Ms. Allen to respond to that.
Although I won't directly respond with regard to pending litigation, the judge Saturday morning at 8 o'clock determined that there was nothing unlawful about having regular voters hand deliver their absentee ballots. Most of you know that the post office had been saying, and actually had printed last week, that if you wanted to get your absentee ballot in on time, you needed to mail it by a certain date, because if you had waited to the weekend, it may not get there. Also, the department was getting a lot of calls from the residents of Fulton County concerned about mailing their absentee ballots. What Fulton County attempted to do was just to make sure that those voters who wanted to hand deliver their absentee ballots would have a place to hand deliver them. They could hand deliver them any day in Fulton County at the Department of Registration and Elections. The judge, after listening to argument, determined that morning that there was nothing unlawful, nothing in the statute prohibited it, and so Fulton County, in congruent with the judge's ruling, decided that we would move forward and just accept the absentee ballots from the voters.
Are you concerned about future challenges?
The lawsuit does raise the challenge, and we will follow whatever the law is and whatever the courts decide. We can't determine in advance what will happen, but we will be complying with whatever the courts ultimately determine.
Thank you, Ms. Allen. I'm going to take Blaine and then come back over here. Yes.
Blaine Alexander with NBC News. Bigger picture question about challenges. The Secretary of State's office, for instance, has already said that they have a number of attorneys general lined up to kind of withstand any legal challenges. What do you guys have prepared for any potential legal challenges? Do you have a standby? And are you concerned about how that might possibly cause any delays? How do you stop delays? And then my second question is, what message do you have to people? Already the county's under a big microscope. What is your message to people who may have questions about the security of this election?
So I'm just going to repeat the question, and then I'll turn it back over to Ms. Allen to respond. The question was about legal challenges, and I think we all heard Blaine, but I'm going to summarize that there's a potential for legal challenge, and also I think the question is about our readiness to respond to challenges as they come up, and I know there's a little bit more to it. And then secondly, our message to voters about security with the elections, both physical security and process. Chairman Pitts wants to respond.
I believe, and we believe, that the groundwork is being laid for some challenges at some point in the future. But we get sued every day. So the answer to the question is, we are prepared. There will be no basis for any challenge, but that does not prevent anyone from filing a suit. If a suit or suits come forward, we will be prepared to defend the great work that we've done and all the preparations been put into ensuring that this election is open, fair, and transparent.
I'm going to answer first security. I talked a couple of weeks ago about how secure the election will be and all the things that we have put in place in Fulton County, the processes and procedures, the standard operating procedures. We have had monitors on the ground here since August, 2 sets of monitoring teams who have gone through with a fine-tooth comb everything that happens with regard to elections in Fulton County. And we've been advised at each step of the way, 2 separate teams. Also, with regard to the challenges, I agree with the chairman that Fulton County has lawyers that have been prepared. We've been fighting off lawsuits, as those of you may know, all along this whole season anyway. And those lawsuits, we have been victorious in those because we have been following the law and we have been prepared and we've been doing the right things. And so am I concerned, or is Fulton County concerned about challenges? Is Fulton County concerned about lawsuits? That's the legal process. We don't have any problem with people following the legal process. We will do so as well, but because we've been following the law, we believe that we will prevail.
Thank you, Ms. Allen. On this side, yes, sir. I think the question is about the security of our polling places. Chief Yates, would you like to speak to that?
Yeah, as I stated previously, we have 177 different police officers that will work at all the locations. We will also have police officers here at the elections hub and have had them for 24 hours a day. So there is a police officer here at all times and will until the entire process is over.
Thank you, Chief. Yes, sir.
Yeah, hi, Alessandro. My question is about public viewing and local election observers. We had a little bit of a trouble this weekend with, Senator Brandon Beach.
Yes.
Saying observer-related, et cetera. Can you just clarify for the public the difference between where the public can come watch versus where you can be a credentialed observer and what the
Okay.
objectives are?
The question, for those who cannot hear, is about poll watchers and poll observers. And what the process is, some parts of the process are open to observers. In some parts of the process, one must be, in Georgia, a certified poll watcher, and there's a process for that. So I think that's the question perhaps for Ms. Allen and Ms. Williams.
Yes. Thank you. Okay, so we have laid out the elections hub. There will be different sections where observation can take place. We've already received the credential letters from each of the parties that have monitors that are coming in. They'll be going to our tabulation areas and as well as this facility. And we actually have a large public observation area as well.
And so many members of the public can be in the public observation?
In the public, they'll be labeled as such, and they can go into those areas, yes.
Thank you, Ms. Williams. Yes, sir.
Cameras here that have a live police station security. Is that something that exist in 2020?
The question is, do we have cameras here in portions of this building for security purposes? We weren't here in 2020. We were at a different warehouse. A lot of things have been modernized. As many of you know, we handled part of our process at State Farm Arena. So I don't know if anyone would like to speak more about our additional security measures, but this is a brand new state-of-the-art facility, and so many things are new in that regard. Okay, yes.
Just to follow up, could you also explain, compared to 2020, what changes have been made to make the election year process more secure, safe, and transparent?
Okay.
Any specific?
Sure, there's a lot.
Okay. So to be clear, the election in 2020 was fair and accurate. But in regards to this location, it's just easier. It's more streamlined. So it's easier for the public to observe and things of that nature. We had to work out of 4 different facilities in 2020. Now with this facility, everything is in one place. So it's easier for the public to see and observe and to follow with your question. Nothing is live streamed, but there are security cameras here 24 hours a day.
Thank you, Ms. Williams. I think we had a question here.
Yeah, Sarah Murray with CNN. Just about that absentee ballots that have been hand-delivered over the weekend.
Sure.
Segregating them since there is another lawsuit.
There's a question about, so I just want to be clear that we've been receiving absentee ballots since they were first mailed over a month ago. Before early voting began, absentee ballots, we were receiving those back and do receive them in person and by mail every day. And all absentee ballots will be processed tomorrow per the Secretary of State guidelines. I'll just ask, there has been some misinformation that there were counting of ballots yesterday. That is false. No ballots will be counted until tomorrow. I'll just ask Ms. Williams or Ms. Allen if they'd like to respond about any special handling of the ballots that were received this weekend.
Yes, so we could circle back to drop boxes as well. There was a rumor that we had our drop boxes open then longer than was required, which is false. The drop boxes were closed and emptied at the end of advanced voting. So all of the ballots from the drop boxes are here. The ballots that were dropped off this weekend are here. And as was stated earlier, there was nothing that was different other than us extending our office hours. The 4 locations are our offices. They have been used by voters from the very beginning of this election. It's not a decade for people to drop off ballots. So we will be processing them as soon as possible, just like any other ballot, because a lot of voters are going to my voter page to see if their ballots was accepted, especially with the mail delays. So we're just trying to process everything as soon as possible.
And the question, let me answer the question about the segregation, I believe is what you asked. Yes, that will take place. That's one of the things that we received a spoliation letter about that, and the lawsuit was filed. So yes, they will be able to be identified.
Thank you. I think, Richard, you had a question about how many absentee ballots have we received so far? Over the weekend, it was 305 ballots received this weekend. Overall, we've received 25,000. Approximately 25,000 of the accepted ballots have been returned. Next question. Yes. Here and then.
Obviously, we've seen legal challenges over the weekend. Are you concerned that that not only lays the groundwork for further challenges, but potentially for a disputed result?
I think Ms. Allen described that earlier, that there is a legal process for people to file suit, and we will respond accordingly. I don't know that there's more to say about that. I'll come. Yes, next. Any other questions? Yes.
What Raphael Bowman, CNN. What
Raphael.
happens to the physical ballots that are generated at every polling stations? Are they all brought in here?
They are, and I'll ask.
In case there's an audit, would that be focused here at this location?
I'll ask Ms. Williams to describe that. You're asking, so in Georgia, our ballot marking devices, at the time a voter casts their ballot, it generates a paper receipt, basically, and then that voter places that piece of paper in a scanner. So those of you who might be new to Georgia, that's how our process works. And those pieces of paper are brought back, and I'll ask Ms. Williams to describe that.
Right. So if you're asking about the upload of results, so what you'll see is, yes, everything does come back to this location to be uploaded. Behind me are the machines that came back from the advanced voting locations. At 2 o'clock tomorrow, we will start running the tapes for those. That way, those results can be uploaded after 7 o'clock, but the requirement is to be uploaded by 8. So you'll see all of the advanced voting results get uploaded by 8 o'clock. You'll also see some of the absentee by mail uploaded by 8 o'clock. In regards to election day, those memory cards will also come here, and they'll be uploaded as they arrive.
So again, physical paper ballots, the memory cards, everything ends up
Everything
here.
ends up here, exactly.
I think this is going to be our last question. Yes.
I'm Catherine from the AJC. Just a question for Mark Newsroom. In past elections, Fulton County's election board has been involved during the day in case voters have problems voting or facing voter challenges.
Yes.
The board can convene and,
We can, Ms. Allen can,
just wondering if that's still happening.
yes.
Thank you.
And your question is, in past elections, we've been available during the day before voting closed for challenges, and we will be again. So 3 o'clock, as of 3 o'clock tomorrow, the Fulton County Board will be here at 2 o'clock. We'll all be here at 2 o'clock. But at 3 o'clock, we will be available if any voter has been challenged, and they can have their hearings at that time.
Thank you, Ms. Allen. Okay, this is the last question, CNN. Thank you. The question was about a video that circulated last week that was found to be false, that circulated an individual purporting to be a recent immigrant to the United States who had a Haitian person who had allegedly gotten citizenship in a very short period and alleged that he was voting in Fulton County. Fulton County has experienced a variety of cyber incidents, and this was unfortunately the latest. We take security very seriously. Our team monitors social media very carefully, and we were aware of that very early on, and we're pleased with the Secretary of State's response. I don't know if any of my colleagues here would like to say more, but we are going to continue to be vigilant about misinformation, disinformation, and try to get factual information out to voters as quickly as possible.
I believe part of your question, you asked if it takes away the time from the staff, and it does. Unfortunately, that's our biggest challenge is misinformation, to have to answer calls and, emails that are about things that are not true. Our staff is handling those, but overall, it does take time from the staff, but they're diligent and they're doing their duties at the same time.
We just want to say thanks to all of you for being here today. Thank you for your integrity, for your professionalism, and your hard work over the next 24 to 48 hours. And have a wonderful day and be safe.
Thank you.